Hello, greetings, and welcome back once again. Thanks so much for joining with me today. As you saw by the title of this video, we're going to look at the different aspects of spiritual paths, the three aspects or the three main paths that one can follow, and the two basic aspects of the devotional path. So the devotional path is the one that I promote and attempt to follow myself. And this path implies belief in some kind of deity or higher power, something that you are devoted to, thus the title Devotional Path. But there are basically three kinds of paths of spirituality. The first one is intellectual, and that involves primarily study of the ancient texts and other religious and spiritual writings, studies of the words of the masters, and an attempt to unveil and understand fully all of the things produced in written and other forms, the forms of icons and statues and visual and audio media that have been produced about the deity or about the road to, let's call it, enlightenment. And very often people on this path become experts in their field. They become theologians, historians, authors, pastors, and they believe the path to the divine is through the mind. The second is the physical path, and this is the path that deals primarily with things that you can do. It's an action path. So a person on this path is perhaps active in religious rituals, attending services, and also good works, doing good. They might be the kind of person who becomes an activist for social reform, or is attracted to groups that promote improvement of society. And they use self-examination and other ways to try to develop virtues. It's a very physical path. And the second, or the last one, is the devotional path. And in this path, prayer and meditation and direct contact with the deity is promoted. Now, all of these paths include things like study of texts, prayer of some kind, religious or spiritual rituals, either individual or established by a particular religion, meditation on some sort, good works, self-examination. Both the inner and the outer aspects of spirituality are reflected in all of these. Particularly in Christianity, there has been two basic streams of Christianity, and one is the official one, and that is based primarily on the intellectual and the physical path, and that includes a lot of study and learning about God, and also performing good works, performing virtuous works. The other stream started back right in the first century, along with the quote-unquote orthodox or official path of Christianity, and that's what was called at the time, well, is called by a lot of scholars the Gnostics. And these were people who were thought that unity with the divine was a personal path, and that salvation, as it's sometimes called, or consecration and the perfection of the person is all personal and it's all direct. And there was no need for a hierarchy, church services, a priest, or a bishop. And so that became the outlier, the marginalized path. We see that path reflected within Orthodoxy in the monasteries and the convents, and the mystics of Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and of course the Eastern religions have their own paths and mystics and convents and monasteries as well. The devotional path, then, the one that I'm promoting, that is probably a far distant niece or nephew of Gnosticism and excuse me, part of the mystical tradition, is based upon prayer and meditation. And it has two parts. The first part is the consecration of the self to a deity. So in Christianity, we would say we are consecrating or setting our entire self, our entire life apart from the secular life. We're setting ourselves apart to worship this deity, to make our spirituality the major focus of our lives. And the second part then is communion with this deity. So, of course, in Christianity, we have names for this deity. We might say Jehovah, or Father, Almighty One, Lord of all. And this is direct communication. Now, in Christianity, the deity is a Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So, or we could say Divine One, Word, Logos, or Christ, and Spirit. So, our communication is with all three, whether you emphasize communication with the Father, you emphasize communication with Christ, or you emphasize communication with Spirit. It is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All right, it's all one God for the Christian person. So it's a consecration of the life to God, and it's communion with the deity. In this particular path, it is a direct communication. You don't need a priest or pastor or a religious ritual in order to have direct communication with the deity. So let us say that you believed you had done something wrong and you wanted forgiveness. You are free to ask personally to the Father for forgiveness. which is a little bit different than in some of the more ritualistic religions where one would have to speak with a human priest representing God and receive absolution. So it is a direct path, and it does not mean that a person doesn't attend services or isn't free to get spiritual direction or can't confess their sins to a priest. All of those things might be something that they feel led to do, and that would be fine. But this path is one of delving inward, and is not focused on the outward, the things that we do outside of self, the good works, the going to the service, the meeting with the priest or pastor. Those certainly can be done, but the main focus is what happens with us internally and our communication with the deity individually. So we consecrate to this deity, to the Divine One, the Holy One, our God, and then we commune individually on a daily, if not continual basis. The goal is to pray without ceasing. The goal is to be in continued communion with the deity at all times, which is one of the reasons why I will be doing lots of teachings from Brother Lawrence. He is one of the promoters of this type of devotional path. Now, let me say again that I am not promoting that you leave your congregation or your fellowship of believers. I'm not telling you to reject the priesthood or the clergy or your religious rites, and I'm not telling you not to study your scriptures and your holy writings. What I am saying, trying to explain, is the emphasis of the devotional path on personal devotion, personal consecration, personal communion with the Holy One. If you have any questions about this, because I may have said something that you don't understand, or you're thinking, does she mean this or that? Please don't hesitate to ask your questions and leave your comments and suggestions. And I hope that I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye for now.